Hey everyone, welcome back to our podcast, Signature Ways. Today's guest is just such an incredible human. I cannot wait for you to meet him. He doesn't just do real estate, he owns a great printing company, which, if you're in Northern Colorado, let me tell you, they can literally do anything. We use them for all of our print material. But additionally, he does property management. He is an awesome dad to his beautiful family, super involved in his community, and additionally in his church. And just his leadership and presence is just absolutely incredible to be around. So without further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Orlando. Hello.
Hello, Savannah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you for being here. So tell me how you got into real estate.
Yeah, so really, I've always had an entrepreneurial heart. I served in the Army for about 8 years, and it's just always been on my heart to be an entrepreneur. I kind of started out doing landscaping, learning landscaping, different things like that, especially with my dad. And I kind of, while I was in the military, was trying to decide like what route do I really want to go. And for me, it was just real estate had always kind of interested me. I owned a duplex at the time as well. So coming out of high school, I had bought a property, the duplex. And so I was already kind of building a portfolio, and I figured, well, real estate could be a field that, I could thrive in. And so I had signed up. I was already on my way out the door of the military. And so I had some leave to burn. So I went ahead and signed up for a class that was, pretty much you just run straight through for a month and a half straight of just training and learning and getting ready to take your test. Got all that done and started my journey with Keller Williams. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into the business, and it's been history from there.
Love it. Awesome. So great. So tell me kind of what a normal day looks like for you right now with everything going on in your life. Like how do you manage all that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with having 3 daughters and my wife and everything, it can be hectic, and it's never a dull moment. I'll say that. So it's always fun. Even our dog is a girl too. So I'm surrounded by women, and it's a lot of fun. Me and my dad actually are the only 2 guys pretty much. And then he has 3 daughters as well. So I'm the oldest of 4. And so lots and lots of women in our household. But speaking on more of just a normal day for me, I usually wake up around 4:30ish, sometimes a little earlier. Definitely always try to dive into my word. For me, faith is very important. And so being a part of the church and also just personally, I think that, I kind of have priorities, and I try to keep those in mind as I go about my day. And I don't say I always do it, but most of the time I'm in my word first, and then I hit the gym, and I'm working out usually from 5 to 6 or a little sooner at times as well. And then from there, coming back home, getting ready, having breakfast with the kids and the family, and kissing them goodbye, heading out to work. Usually we're at work at the office by 8. I get in at 8:30. 8:30 is typically when we have our team meeting. So we'll have our team meeting from 8:30 to 9, and that's when we really start to jump in. And that team meeting really consists of a few things. Really, we call it a work in progress. So just learning and reviewing everything that we have in progress right now, whether it's, a lot of it has to do more so with the printing world, here at the office, but I'm also reviewing my 5 commitments as well. Kind of just what I have on the market currently, some of my hot and warm leads that I have. and following up. What follow-ups do I need to make? What sellers do I need to touch base with? What buyers do I need to show property to, or what buyers are showing interest in some property? And really just kind of determining my day from there, usually keep a notebook with just kind of all of my checklists here and what I need to get done for that day and try and knock it out. So, I go until about 5 o'clock. I'm here, whether I'm here at the shop or I am out and about showing houses or reviewing listings, things like that. I go until about 5 o'clock. I try to make it a hard stop at 5, mainly because I want to get home and spend some time with the family too, so
Right.
That's really important to me. And, as I know it is for you as well. So, it can be tough at times, especially in the print world when people need stuff and they need it now, or, a lot of times in regards to marketing, people think of it last minute and they have some last minute prints they need, So for example, yesterday had a gal come in and, it was like 4:58 and she came in and she's like, I'm so sorry, but I need blueprints. And, I stayed till 5:30 to help her and get it done, So a lot of times there's those later evenings and bigger jobs that we need to get done. But, I like to commit to my word, number one, and number two, to make sure we get things done on time. And number two, I think helping people is what I'm called to do. So whether it's a small print job, a big job, selling a house, helping someone buy a house, like I want to serve. So, I'll make it happen.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, it was just when he was like, I go to the gym. I did not know this, but we actually go to the same gym. And we just recently discovered this.
Yeah.
And then I saw him this morning. We had a quick little chat, but it's funny because I had no idea. And then I looked over and I was like, wait a minute.
And you caught me at the worst time too, because I just got back into it. Like last week I took off. I've been training for a while. I took last week off, got back into it. I'm doing legs. So I'm doing heavy squats, deadlifts, and I'm just dying. I'm laying on the bench over there and Savannah's there. See.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny, but one of those things, is like, I truly believe that really focusing on our health is so important. When we work out, it gives us the energy that we need to handle the stress of life, to handle, what is coming at us for that day. And every time I go to the gym too, I think about, man, if I can handle this, then I can handle anything, So
yeah.
Lifting is one of those things. It's just, it'll beat you down, but man, if you can get through it, you can handle anything that day. So
you can. I'm like, that's a new shirt actually that we'll have to do at your print shop. If you can handle leg day, you can handle any day.
That's right. You can survive.
You can survive. I like it. So you brought something interesting up, and I kind of want to dive into this. The 5 commitments in your morning. What is that? Yeah.
So I keep it on my wall here. So my 5 commitments really have to do with, it says they're my contacts, how many contacts am I going to make today? The appointments that I've held, what are my goals, in that regard. And really these 5 commitments have to do it more so for the month, right? So I have it on my board here. I have a blackboard. So I have contacts, appointments held, signed agreements is one, closings is another one, and then the volume, what's my volume goal? So, for example, my contacts for the month, my goal is to reach 200 contacts every month. That's on the lower end, and now it is on the lower end. It used to be much higher when I was starting out, because as a new agent, you gotta make contacts, you gotta build relationships, you gotta get your name out there, and now that I kind of am a little bit more established, I don't feel like I need to do as many contacts. So, typically my goals are 200 contacts, 8 appointments held, 6 signed agreements, and 4 closings. And right now I am at, for this month, I mean, it's a fresh month, so it's newer, but
Yeah.
last month I was at like, it shows 156 contacts, so I was a little short. I was at 5 appointments held, 3 signed agreements out of 6, so only 50. And then I only had 1 closing out of 4. But I mean, that's how it goes, you know. Sometimes you don't hit them.
Well, and I think there's that ebb and flow, right? So you're having that kind of natural ebb and flow that's going to happen where, you know, in February, yes, the market seems to be definitely picking up. And I think the appointments reflect that.
Yep.
Yet, I like a lot of people that I've heard people talking to, they're like, oh yeah, we want to go live April 1st. So it's like you have all these people ready to kind of go. So you're building the pipeline. So you're still doing the work. And I think that's a great thing. And thank you for sharing your goals for February, because I think so many people are like, well, they're just perfect. They hit everything every month, and that's why they have a great business.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's just not the reality, you know. I mean, life happens to all of us, and so, and having kids and sickness and this and that, you know, whatever it may be, it will affect your goals. But I think the point and the purpose really is to have them in front of you. You know, like I said, I can just look over from my desk and see my goals right there. So it's a really good reminder of, hey, am I focused on my goals? And that's one of the reasons why I really love Keller Williams too, is obviously they've been in the business a long time, but they also have these little quotes and, you know, bold statements, or bold in general. And one of them is, what you focus on expands, right? So I really live and die by that saying there, because, you know, if you're not focused on your goals and you don't have them written down, you're not, you know, in tune with that, well, then you're kind of just aiming at air, you know. You need a target to hit. So that's one thing I really tried to establish here, both for myself in real estate and in my print shop. So, you know, my commitments are for me. Yes, those ones are personal, because the real estate thing is just more so just me at the moment. But both for my team in the print world too, they have their commitments as well, and what we're trying to accomplish there. So the goals look a little bit different, numbers look a little different, but the point is still the same, you know?
Right. Yeah. Clarity is so much power when it comes to your goal. And I love that that's one of your favorite sayings, because it's actually mine. And I had a water bottle that had it on it, and I don't know where it is at all. So but yeah, it's so true, because your mindset can determine everything in this business, especially your mindset about success. So tell me kind of for you, what that kind of looks like for you, and how you determine if you're having success in each month.
Yeah, that's a great question, you know, and really it comes down to, for me, I've been thinking about that quite a bit recently. And for me, I would say it's more so about how many people and lives that I can touch and serve, you know. So hence why I got into the printing business as well, because again, it's there's a major difference, you know, from being in this world with printing versus real estate. Real estate, the numbers are a little bit different. Usually I'm helping 25 people a year buy and sell. That's kind of my average that I've been selling. But in printing, I mean, we're helping 20 people in a day, you know.
Right.
You know, so we're doing a lot of business, and a lot of people coming in and out of the shop, getting to see a lot of faces, you know. I just absolutely love that. I love to be able to touch base with people, see what they're up to, and just be a part of their lives. So for me, that's kind of what success looks like, is just being able to serve and touch the lives of as many people as I can, and doing it in a way that's pretty fun too. You know, I didn't realize, like, wow, this, you know, in the printing world too, it's a fun business. Just getting to print so many different things, so many unique things. you'd be amazed at the things that people come up with and, need and
Or don't come up with when I'm like, hey, you guys are like, what do you need? I'm like, I don't know. Just make it look pretty. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking like, we have just tons of different stuff that just comes through, and so many events, and that we get to be a part of. That, I was just thinking about it the other day too when I was dropping some stuff off downtown in Loveland here, and we're really like the how do I say this? I guess just kind of like the behind the scenes success of a lot of these events that happen, because people need their posters, people need to promote these events, they need these things, and they depend on us to be able to make that happen. So being able to do that is just, it's, to me, that's success, is making those things happen, and not necessarily putting my name out there as the main thing, but just the fact that we get to be a part of it. And it is cool to drive around and be like, yeah, I printed that, we installed that sign, or we did this, and it's really cool. So that's, to me, is a big part of the success. And then in regards to real estate and in regards to my management business as well, again, it comes down to serving them to the highest level and finding out ways that I can make my service just a little bit better every time. So I always try and keep that mindset too of, if I can be 1% better than I was yesterday, then I'm already winning, so every day I'm just trying to be a little bit better, whatever it is I'm doing, just do it a little bit better, find a way to tweak my systems a little bit better. And, that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it's so important to wake up and ask, like, how can this get better, right? Like, there's so many ways to do that, because I feel like sometimes people get going and they're just like, well, this is working, so why fix it? Mm-hmm. And yes, there's an understanding to that. Yet at the same time, if you want to stay ahead in the industry, if you want to stay ahead of the game, but also create and be different compared to everybody else, you've got to ask yourself that question.
Yeah. 100%.
So on the flip side of this, and I know there wasn't a question on this to kind of prepare you for this, when things don't go 100% right, either in a real estate transaction or at the printing shop, how does that conversation work? How do you approach when things aren't necessarily going great or feel like you've done that 1%?
Yeah, that's a great question too. And, thinking about that too, part of that answer for me is spiritual. Part of it is based on leadership too, right? The spiritual side of it for me would be more of, I know that God is in control. I know that if doors close, it's for a reason, when doors open, it's for a reason too, and talking about, in regards to when things don't work out, it can be stressful. It can be even painful at times. And, almost want to bring tears to your eyes if something, that you really care about happens and, or doesn't happen the way you expect it. It can either, bring you down, make you sad, make you stressed, or it can even make you angry as well. And, for me, putting my trust in God, knowing that, hey, it's all going to work out in the end. We got one life, we got to live it to the fullest. We got into this for a reason, whether it's to serve our family, whether it's to make money, to live abundant lives, all of that matters. And I know that God wants that for me and wants it for all of us as well. So all of that is very important to me. And then on the leadership side of it as well, right? I was just thinking about this the other day too. There's so many times where people can try to, rob you of your joy, or, they end up trying to hurt you as well. So how you react really matters. I think that's so important.
Yeah. And it can be so hard in those moments too, right? Because it can just hit on so many things. And, I think of times and that I've been in that situation, and you just want to scream from the rooftop of like, no, this is what's going on, blah. But yet how you choose to respond and show up matters so much more in the end. And I think part of it too, and correct me if I'm wrong, is also being okay to be authentically you. And being okay that that's not for everyone. Because I feel like you definitely are okay with that. And yet you're not somebody that I feel like will overreact in a situation. There's just kind of this calming presence about you. So can you kind of go into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I get this a lot of times with my clients, especially on the real estate side, is like, man, every time I talk to you, I feel like, things are going to be okay,
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that too, because, I've had it been told to me too, is like, man, it's like you're a counselor almost, like I could come to you and talk to you. And these times are stressful, especially when somebody's trying to sell their house or they're trying to buy one, it's a very stressful situation. I've bought and sold many houses of my own, and man, it just is a clear reminder of what our clients go through on a day in and day out basis, and so really just trying to keep that presence and realizing that we are there for our clients. We are not there necessarily for ourselves. It's our job, but at the same time, that comes with that service mentality, right? Of just being able to listen instead of just speaking and saying what you think all the time, because I could tell people what I think all the time, and what I think might not be what they need, in that moment. And so just trying to listen, and maybe, who knows, maybe it's because I'm around women a lot. I gotta, be better at listening. I don't know, it's, that
There's
might be
everyone.
But, I don't mean to say that, but I guess, that could be a part of it, But yeah, for me, it's so important, again, it comes down to leadership and being able to lead that client from the start of a transaction to the end and making it to that closing table. And a lot of times, man, it can be rough. It can be a rough road. It might not be the outcome that the buyer seller expected or what we expect, but it's also not our job to get in the way of helping them reach their goal. So I think that's really important as well, that we can all kind of get better at as we transact with more customers, because man, it can be so easy. And I've seen agents do this a lot, where they throw their own opinions or their own experiences in there a lot of times, and they crash and ruin a deal because of it, and I think setting expectations with our clients and letting them know ahead of time what some of the outcomes could be, and giving them their options, right? Always, I like to let my clients know, like, my job is to present to you all your options. So, you might not like all the options, but at least you have these options just in case that's a route that you would want to go. So I think my clients really appreciate that as well. So I don't mean to go off on all that, but
You're good, because I think it's such a refreshing thing, because again, I've seen it as well, where agents throw in their opinions or say, well, this or that, or some things that might matter to us of buying a home may not matter to somebody else. I mean, raise your virtual hand, or raise your hand in the car wherever you're listening to this, if you've ever gone, oh my God, they're going to freak out when they see this resolution. I would never accept this. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's actually perfect. We're good with that. And you're sitting there and you're like, how are you okay with this?
Mm-hmm.
But everyone's needs are different, right?
Yeah.
Their goal at the beginning is just so dependent on what they need for their life. It's not about us.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I seen a post the other day too of a lady who posted on social media saying that she was not happy with her agent. I'm not bringing up any names or anything. You may have seen it too.
I think I saw it too. Yes.
Yeah. they weren't happy with the agent because the agent, they found out, wasn't presenting to them, um, you know, um, I guess, investor type offers,
Yep.
which they could have potentially wanted to accept. But, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, maybe the agent was just like, no, there's no way that this is going to be something that, I'll present to my clients. Number one, that's totally wrong. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed
Right.
to present every offer. But number two, again, that's the agent just getting in the way of serving the customer, serving our clients, to the highest level possible. So it's just a good reminder to remember those type of things. And I think leadership really plays, again, a big role in that. Like, we need to be able to lead our clients to the best ability, to our best ability, and it requires a lot. It requires a lot, most certainly.
Yeah. So tap into that leadership, because this is an area I wanted to dive into a little bit as well, about what leadership looks like for you on a daily basis with your clients and even within your family and your community.
Yeah. Yes. And this is this area that I'm very passionate about. I really enjoy. One of the things that I really like to mention is it that I stand by. And it could be opposite for others, and that's okay too. But for me, it really comes down to, you have to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. You absolutely have to. And I truly stand by that because,
Mhm.
time and time again, when my life is disorganized, when my vehicle is disorganized, when my mind is cluttered, when my bills are due and they haven't been paid yet, I noticed a lot of other things start to get unorganized, and my leadership is not where it should be. My confidence is not where it should be. My mind is not where it should be, which is where my feet are. That's where your mind should be, is where your feet are, not distracted with all this other stuff. So, it's very difficult for us as agents to really focus on serving our clients to the highest, level possible if we are so distracted by, you know, our life circumstances. So, and I want to set a good example for my family too, talking about family, I think it's so important, is like, my health, to me, health is one of those things that I think, is kind of undervalued. In a lot of, it's something also that a lot of people can visually see right off the bat, right? You can see if a person is healthy or not. You can see in their eyes whether they're present or not. And, the eyes are the window to the soul, so you look at somebody in the eyes, you can tell if they're present, if they're there, if there's joy there, or if there's pain there as well. So, for me, it's important that I'm taking care of myself in that regard. So that way, when people look into my eyes, they can also see like, okay, this guy has confidence. This guy, I can trust him. And that's a big pillar of what we do, right? Nobody wants to work with somebody they can't trust. They need to trust you, like you, right? And know that you can handle the situation. And that's a big part of it. So, and when I had mentioned, the opposite end of it too, right? The opposite end, and I think some people believe in this as well, is that, hey, if I focus on the group rather than myself, then the group will then take care of me, so I think there's two kind of ends to that. You can either really focus in on yourself, so then you can help others, or you can not focus on yourself and help others, so others can help you. But for me, I'm like, I feel like it's more important that you really focus in on yourself. Yeah, at the end of the day, yes, your husband, your wife, they're going to be there for you 100%. But at the same time, your friends, your family, they're all going to be there for you. But at the same time, no one's going to care about you as much as you are going to care about you. Nobody can change your situation like you can change your situation. So if you're struggling, if you are, in debt, if you are, struggling with finances or you're struggling with relationships, whatever it could be, I feel like it's important to look inward first, take accountability and work on yourself to then be able to fix those things, I think Dave Ramsey really says it best, especially when it comes to finances is, if you don't focus on your finances, they're going to fly away, and even the Bible talks about that. It's like, finances can, I think it's like fly away like an eagle or something like that. If you're not focused in on your finances, if you don't take time to even just once a month, just check in on your budget, check in on those finances, that money will just flutter away. And I've experienced it myself. I mean, there's been times where I don't check my budget and all of a sudden I'm like, holy cow, I spent $1,000 on food this month. What the heck?
Yeah.
Just going out to eat.
Oh yeah.
And it's crazy.
Well, it's amazing how fast it compounds. You just don't realize it. Mm-hmm. And I think all of us get a little bit of a taste of it in our younger years. And then you got decisions to make once you get older of how you're going to handle it.
That's right. And sometimes the consequences are substantial, you never know, but, if you're struggling, you got to take the time to learn, you got to take the time to learn. You got to take the time to figure out, okay, hey, what am I doing wrong here? Who can I look to or talk to who maybe is doing it right and learn from them, and a lot of times I think we have a hard time doing that too. And sometimes that has to do with ego. A lot of times it's like, man, I got it under control. I don't need help or I don't need this. It's like, no, man, even that is a part of leadership, right? Knowing when to seek a mentor, when to seek help, with whatever it may be. It's so important. It's crazy.
It is. Yeah. And I love that you bring ego into it, because I think it's that sometimes I feel like is the catalyst of what gets in the way for people to have breakthroughs in their success.
Yeah. I mean, you had mentioned, people kind of get stuck in their ways. There's like, well, this is working, so I don't need to do anything else new or change anything. We can always improve. Even what you're doing right now can be done better, just by reviewing it, checking it, looking into it further. But on that end too, right? It's, there's new things to be learned as well. Real estate is ever changing. We're seeing it day in and day out, whether it's with commissions or whether it's with just the laws in general, our contracts, all of that stuff it's constantly shifting and changing. And so we have to be ready for the times when that happens. And that's another reason why I really appreciate Keller Williams as well, is because they're always on top of that. There's always trainings, there's always, conversations going on about the changes that are happening in real estate. And I think that's important in a brokerage in general, is just making sure that you're staying up to date on all that stuff.
Yeah. And just a few changes happened in the ACU class so far this year. So yeah, for those in Colorado, we have an ACU class, our annual update commission class. So it's a joyful 4 hours, and you sit there, and sometimes I wonder why people thought remotely close why it was okay what they did. Like common sense. Like I feel like there should be a common sense bar to enter real estate sometimes, but apparently not. And then there's obviously some, changes that are just naturally happening in our industry and how states are responding and everything like that. So it's a joyful 4 hours.
It is. Yeah. Yep.
Gotta love it. So what is something that, a piece of advice that you would give yourself in your younger years?
Wow, that's a good question. Really, I would say for me would be to start sooner. I started early, nevertheless, and I'm grateful for it. I'm only 33 now, and I've owned, like I said, multiple properties. I own multiple businesses. I'm doing pretty well. But if I could give a piece of advice, I would definitely say I want to start sooner. There's just so much in life that I want to do and places I want to go, I would definitely would have recommended, if I could have started in high school, if I would have known where I would be today, I would have started in high school, you know. And I tell even high schoolers today, like, save people's numbers, you know, all your friends in high school, be kind, you know, be kind to people, you know, because you never know in the future who you're going to work with. I've had tons and tons of clients that have come to me because, you know, hey, Orlando, you were really nice to me in high school and we're ready to buy a house. I know you're selling real estate. So if you could help us, you know, to me, that means everything, you know. It's like, and it's just because I took the time to be kind to somebody, you know. I wasn't, I'll say in middle school, elementary, I was a little bit more, you know, ornery and a little bit more out there and would fight with kids and this and that, or, you know, kind of be mean, or I was a class clown too, you could say. So, you know, but
What?
yeah.
I'm actually shocked by this news.
Yeah, but hey, I learned quick, you know. So I'm like, oh man, I need to not be this way, you know, especially going into high school and everything, things change, and I changed a lot. So I was grateful for that, you know, and now looking back on it, I'm glad I was, because man, you know, it's so important. You got to be kind to everybody. And that's how you create friendships. That's how you create relationships, you know. And I tell the high schoolers too, who are interested in real estate, because I've gone to a lot of career days, things like that, and represented, you know, Keller Williams or my real estate business there. And I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to start at right now, how you can start now is by just being kind to people and building relationships and staying in touch with them, you know, get their phone numbers, get their emails, just to hang on to and stay in touch with people. I mean, you don't want to make it transactional, obviously, and, you know, you want to be, you know, authentic, right? But, you know, at the same time, we need to collect data. We need to, you know, make sure we stay in touch with people and check in on them, see how they're doing. That's a big part of why we do what we do. So, you know, that's important. And then speaking on another piece of advice that I would share with myself as well is I would say a big game changer for me is when I started to meditate on and have a word for the year that I focus on. For me, you know, for this year, it's intentionality. That's kind of like my word, intentional, this year. So I really want to be intentional with everything that I do, whether it's marketing, whether it's, you know, speaking with clients, whether it's, you know, my family. Being intentional is really important to me. And for this year, that's kind of that's my word. So I wish I would have started that a lot sooner. I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now, but and every year I just have a word that I really try and focus on. Sometimes your word could be no, you know,
100%.
You know, and that word could be, you know, and that could mean like, hey, I'm going to focus on and have a season of just saying no to everybody because I'm completely focused in on my goal, you know. And so that's how you can utilize that kind of word. And for me, it just kind of, it's something that I try and write on my heart, right? It's like, okay, this is my word for the year. How can I be intentional today? How can I say no to something that is going to distract me today? You know, how can I show love today if your word is love? Or, you know, it should be a word that, you know, can empower you and, you know, can motivate you and is in line with what your goals are. So, you know, I even wrote that down. I wrote intentional down because I wanted to make sure I mentioned it today, that, you know, that having a word for your year, I think is a huge game changer and can help a lot of people. So I hope it does.
I started doing it probably about the same time you did, and it definitely does for sure. And it's okay too, because I'll never forget, I had one year, my word was growth. And what I had envisioned versus what happened, two very different things. And yet when I looked back, because I was like, I looked back and I was like, no, that was growth. That was growth that had to happen. that I didn't realize that needed to happen, but it had to happen. And those lessons and that growth have led to great things from there, right? And so also I think part of it is making sure you just know that if that's your word and that's on your heart, that it might not go exactly like you planned, but that's okay.
Yeah. 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 I love that. I love that. And, you know, what I'm hearing from you too is that you reflected on that too. You know, you had that word and it, like you said, it didn't go the way you thought it would, but there was still growth. When you reflect on it, there was growth in a way that you didn't even realize you needed to grow, you know? And same thing for me. I mean, the year is only getting started. The first quarter is just about done, you know, and already I've found multiple ways that I can improve my intentionality just by, you know, honing things in and actually doing what I say I'm going to do, you know, and that's a big deal for me. Is like, okay, you know, last year I started to really focus in on, okay, I say I'm going to work out in the morning. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing it. And, you know, right now I downloaded an app like a year, like 2 years ago now, and I'm almost at 500 workouts for the time since I've had the app. It like tracks how many you've done. So, you know, I'm really excited to hit that. And then, you know, last year too, my goal was also to read the Bible in its entirety for the whole year. So that was kind of a big thing with our church, was getting into the Word of God and, you know, getting through the whole Bible. Through this Bible plan, which I highly recommend anybody get in on if you can, because it's super in depth and really good. But you know, just even now, like I'm just honing it in even more, you know, and I'm trying to be more intentional, especially when I mention even like marketing, for example, within real estate and within my print shop, you know. Specifically for real estate, one of the things that we're taught is about the 36 touches, right? You can say 36 touch, you can say 48 touch, whatever that looks like. But, you know, committing to doing it is the hard part, right? Committing to creating a newsletter or sending out a postcard every month and getting it out to your clients is super important. And that's all a part of marketing, right? It's getting that touch and getting your face in front of those people so they don't forget that you're in real estate. You know, if you're not doing it, if you're not intentional about it, it's not going to happen, you know? And so for me, that's a big one. And even in the print shop, I talk to my guys about that all the time. Like, let's get intentional about marketing. We're going to start we're a print shop. Let's send postcards out to people, you know, like we can do this.
Like, wait a minute, we haven't.
Yeah. And we haven't been, you know, so it's like, you know, we can get more customers even by our postcards and getting these things done. But we have to be intentional about it. We have to put it in the plan, be accountable, make it happen. If it doesn't happen, what's going to happen, you know, and really diving into that. So yeah, that's a big one.
I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Well, this has been so insightful, and I have loved every moment of this. I actually cannot believe it's been 43 minutes. I looked up at the thing. I'm like, no way.
Yeah, crazy.
And one last question I wanted to ask is, what's a book that you maybe have recently read in leadership or podcast that you would recommend that kind of has shaped this journey for you?
Ooh, man, that is a good one too. So I'm reading a few books right now, and I highly recommend, I mean, pick up a book, just pick one up. It doesn't even matter which one it is, but definitely just pick up a book. But one that I'm reading right now is how to do small talk, which is kind of interesting.
I have not.
Yeah, how to do small talk is the book, and you know, really, I picked that book up. It's a smaller book. You can pick it up. I bought it at FedEx. I was dropping off a package and seen it there, and I'm like, hey. But to be honest, like, again, we are communicators. Our job is to communicate professionally and be able to communicate with people. So for me, that book, you know, was intentional because it describes, how do you communicate at events? How do you do small talk with somebody when you don't know what to say, or, so you don't have those awkward silences,
Never happened.
right. So we can get better at it. We all can.
No, 100%. Oh, it's happened to me so many times. I'm like,
Yeah. So, that's my goal. I want to be a better communicator. I want to be better at being able to talk to people and, just build those relationships that much more, clearly and more intentional in that area. So really working on that. Total Recreation's another one. And Unrecruitable is another one that I'm reading right now. Is there any other books that I'm reading? Both of those are by Andy Elliott, who is a leadership training type coach. So, he's kind of hardcore, but I really like his stuff. He's more like car sales and stuff, but he's all about leadership in general. So, really enjoy his type of stuff as well. And of course the Bible, I'm trying to continue to read daily, although that's, it's been off and on throughout this year so far. Last year did a great job. This year, it's off and on a little bit, but those are what I'm into right now.
Love it.
Awesome. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yes.
So much for being part of this. And I'm just so excited for everyone to hear this and just walk away with hopefully knowing their word, how you show up in leadership, how they can reflect on their leadership showing up, and how to serve. Because I think that was the biggest thing through this is you were talking about serving and how it's so important and how in every aspect of every part of your life, how that shows up, even to your daily schedule and the intentionality you have behind that. So definitely re-listen to this podcast, everyone. I think there's so many hidden nuggets inside of it that it's going to take more than once.
That's right. It's been an honor, Savannah. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.
All right.